Hey there, PCA community. This is Jordan Heckelmann coming to you from the upper school, and I am joined today by various members of the upper school team who play significant roles in helping your children grow and learn in their experience here at the upper school. And though they may not be classroom teachers per se, they have a tremendous impact here. And I'm excited for you to hear from them a little bit today. So just working our way around the table, would you all mind introducing yourselves?
Sure. So, hello, I am Ellen Sporko. I'm the Leadership Development Coordinator at the upper school. Should I say my role or what I do?
Describe it a little bit, what it looks like.
Okay, what does that mean? So, I help to oversee and manage the work of various different leadership development initiatives. So, the prefect program is now Student Life Council, and all various other
Missions and service pieces.
Small group leaders.
Yeah, it's a wide gambit of things.
Yeah.
Lots of fun.
It's awesome.
Hi, I'm Amy St. John. I'm the administrative assistant at the upper school, and I do lots of things. I help our students with just day-to-day attendance needs, Band-Aids, boo-boos, tissues, things like that. I'm a point of contact for parents when they call in, keeper of many things, much knowledge, and at least a desire to be helpful.
That is a great way of summarizing your job description, which seems to change on the daily.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Brianna Young. I am an academic advisor. I've had a few roles here at PCA, so a lot of people who maybe are listening might know me from admissions. So my role now is I work with 9th and 10th graders with scheduling, with getting them into their classes, looking at kind of helping them figure out what they want to do in the future, get to know who they are. This is only my first year in this role, so I'm excited for what I can do over the next few years and beyond, but that kind of summarizes. And I work in the college planning department.
Yeah, it's a great department. It's a lot of fun. But thank you all for being here and being willing to sit and reflect on this past year of growth. So to provide a little bit of context, last year, Mr. Rooney sat down with a lot of our teachers to reflect on the year. And I did the same. And if you haven't listened yet to the podcast with some of the members of our humanities team and our STEM team, I'd really encourage you to give those a listen. But in thinking about these podcasts, I realized that there are so many more people involved in helping our students learn and grow. And I figured it would be worth sitting down and asking them to reflect on this last year and how they've seen that growth occur. So would some of you mind just describing some instances of growth that you've seen in some of our students this year and the capacities in which you serve?
Yeah. So, broadly, one of the joys of my year was just seeing students who had been appointed to or elected to different leadership roles really start to step into those and embrace an identity and a perspective of leadership throughout the year. At the beginning, they're pretty timid. I'm not sure what I'm doing. Or, maybe there's a lack of confidence in really taking charge or leading or dreaming big. And then just watching the evolution as students start to learn in our prefect class or through student government meetings, like to get that leadership training and start to apply it and build that confidence. They start to dream bigger and they start to carry themselves differently and they start to think more about the words that they're saying or the things that they're doing or the events that they're attending and just the presence that they are in the school and also taking on much bigger projects. I think watching that just evolution has been such a joy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Has there been a particular project or event this year that really stood out to you?
Yeah. So I think one example that really illustrates that beautifully is the evolution of the worship nights. So our spiritual life prefects took up the tradition that's been created over the last several years of leading worship night at the upper school in the fall. And that was led by students for students in the upper school. They also invited 8th graders and 8th grade parents. So it was a joy to add them to that first night of worship and community just in Troyano. But after doing that, they started to dream bigger. We loved having the 8th graders at this event. what would it look like to worship as a full school community? Several of the student leaders or students on the worship team had siblings and ties to the lower school or the middle school. And so they really had a heart to worship together as a full community. And so in the spring semester, they took on the all-school worship night project. And that event was tremendous. There's over 150 attendees from across our community. There were student leaders from every school represented as part of that program. It was just a really beautiful, and it was completely student-run and student-led, and something that, that was a big dream, and also they accomplished it, and it was a huge blessing for our community. So just seeing our students, the first worship night they planned it, they were in my office every day of rehearsal, debriefing something or talking about something. And by the time all school worship night happened, I hardly knew what was happening. I was just checking boxes and signing forms, and they made it all happen. So I think watching their growth in that was Gideon and Louisa.
Yeah. They did an awesome job with that event. And I mean, whether it was our prefects, our student government members, small group leaders, so many of them did a tremendous job this year. But I think that's a great example of growth. And I think it's also an encouraging example of growth, not just across this year, but across many years.
Yeah.
I remember the first worship night we did, once again, led by two of our spiritual life prefects. And, they came in with the big dream of doing it down in the gym and having hundreds of people there. And I scaled them back a little bit, and they did an awesome job. But, here we are 4 years later, and, finally happened in the gym, and we had that. And it was so cool to see, community members from, 3-year-olds in our preschool program to seeing grandparents, alum. I mean, it was just a great event. And it's, I think, a good example of not just growth, but our students impacting the world for good. So thank you for sharing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a unique seat at the upper school that I kind of get to see little snippets throughout the day of lots of different areas within our school and our school culture. So just reflecting on growth, I was thinking of lots of different ways, and some of them are just small daily things, but I've really watched our students grow over this year. And one I thought about was kind of just that as we desire to prepare them for life after PCA, one of the things I talk about frequently is them having their key fob, using their key fob, being on time for things, like I do tardies in the morning. So just seeing those that have kind of struggled with that gain the skill of having the thing they need for the thing they need will serve them well in life. So it's a small thing, but it's fun to know they're gaining that skill and they're more ready for life here and life after here. Another way I see some students step up and grow is taking on the challenge of doing morning announcements. They're super scared at first, but they want to do it, and just kind of seeing them be excited to welcome our students in the morning and kind of get our day started is really fun and exciting. And then a couple other things that I reflected on in particular this year is I had the wonderful privilege of being part of a prayer club. And so just seeing our students' growth, not just in prayer club, but outside of it as well. Our students praying over each other and for each other. And that, I think, has had a huge impact on our year and has had an impact on them. And I know it had an impact on me, that they would come in and ask to pray for me and then ask me to pray for them. And that's just a super cool experience that they want us to enter into lots of parts of their lives through prayer. So that's really neat. Another area, our students get to speak in chapel occasionally, and that always just blows me away. I get super nervous when I have to speak in chapel. Like it's not an easy thing to stand up in front of close to 200 people and share pretty vulnerably. But to see our students do that just is a big growth step for many of them, that particularly kind of our seniors often do it the most. And it just shows the way that their time at PCA has had an impact on them, and they're willing to share that with others. And it's just a joy to see.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing all of those examples and for all the work that you do to help foster that growth in the joyful way that you do it. I know parents, if you ever call PCA, it's probably Miss St. John or if you ever call the upper school, it's probably Miss St. John who's picking up the phone, and she always does it joyfully. So thank you for sharing those stories of growth and for the impact that you have.
Though it might be Mrs. Young. She covered my desk a lot this year, and I'm super proud of that. I'm super thankful.
If parents call and it's me, there's usually a little air of disappointment. Oh, where's Amy? All right, I'll jump in. So a couple things. So first, I work with freshmen with a lot of they're coming into high school for the first time. Some are coming from PCA's middle school. Some are coming from all sorts of different areas, homeschool, public school. So really watching them, meeting with them in September and getting to know how their first 4 weeks are and helping them figure out the lay of the land and then seeing how they have grown throughout the year has been really cool. I know a big struggle in the beginning of the year of the transition piece is how do I manage all my classes and I want to do sports and we have a club fair and how do I get involved but still do well at everything. And so it's been really cool. A few kids stand out that have continuously come into my office and, they'd come in and tell me, oh, our soccer team won our game. We're so excited. And I also was able to finish my paper for world history. So to see the struggle that they recognized they had that struggle and then come to me halfway through the year hey, I really want to take honors next year with all of this because I feel like I've really gotten my feet under me. And it's just really cool to see that progression from my side. Another thing, kind of jumping back to Ellen Sporko's leadership, I have a little different view. So she gets to work with the students and really teach them leadership. And I get to watch that play out, which is awesome. So I'm the now sophomore class advisor. So the freshman student government this past year, it's weird thinking about the forward year, but this past year's freshman student government, I was able to work with them starting in about January and see that leadership come through and the passion that they had. I mean, all three of them really took time out of their lunches and their academic preps, and they had such a passion for the fundraiser that we ran and just details around that. That was really cool to see. And then I've been a mentor for one of our young women who was our one of the Unity prefects. So it was great to form a relationship with her. But the reason I bring her up is actually because it's been awesome to see her really launch herself. And she started working with our marketing and communications team, and she really prompted that. And just to watch all the different students come through the college planning office and make connections with all different departments to get a feel for what the real world looks like in a career field that they're interested in. So this girl, am I allowed to say her name?
Yeah, go
So,
for it.
okay, Emma, if you're listening, I love you. So Emma loves marketing, wants to do sports marketing. Nate Paul is our head of marketing. And she had to connect with him on her own, do her own stuff, work with Megan Tuttle on communications. And she ended up taking a lot of the pictures for some of the sports this spring. And she was able to really learn and grow from that. She did a lot of graphics for the student activities Instagram page. And it was really just cool to see her branch out and try to get into something she's passionate about to get her feet wet before she goes to college for that exact thing.
Yeah, that's a great example. I think how we as a school do our best to come alongside each child and point them towards their calling and their potential career. And, thank you for the time that you take outside of what would be your everyday role to serve as a mentor and the time that you take coming along our students in that way. And I hope parents, you're encouraged to hear that even outside of the classroom, there are men and women here who love your children, who care for them and want to see them grow in different ways, and really are a key part of our mission and helping our students accomplish our vision of having an impact as well. And I know one thing that I'm really excited about with both, missions and service and mentoring and the leadership development program is that we get to start to see our vision of Christ-centered graduates impacting the world for good play out here and now. And I think that impact happening now is more prevalent than we realize, whether it's through students serving in official leadership roles or helping out different departments as they're trying to determine their calling, or just volunteering in different capacities. Like we have students every year who volunteer with different grade levels down at the lower school and get to impact our students there, or serve in kids' church at their church on Sunday and, unbeknownst to them, impact the lives of younger students here. It's just incredible to think about. And, I'm grateful to each of you for the impact that you have there. But now looking ahead a little bit, obviously I know we have summer coming up, and for some of us, we'll still be here chugging away, getting things ready for next year. For others, we'll be shifting into different opportunities and roles that we fill over the summer, thinking of Mrs. Sporko working up at Camp Brookwoods. But we're also, thinking about next year. And I'd be curious to hear, what are some things that you're excited about looking to next year that you think will help to foster more growth in our community?
that is a softball for me to talk about Student Life Council. So that is a new initiative, or news. It's kind of a rebranding, a refocus of an old initiative. So we are what has been student government. We've renamed and just created some new intention around what that student leadership group focuses on, which is student life. So we had, at the end of this year, students elected to class representative roles, and 2 students, 1 junior and 1 senior, elected to student body president and vice president to lead that student life council. And I am just so excited to see what they bring to that. So that is going to be an authentically student-led group from the very beginning. We had a meeting at the end of this month, and it was led by students. And I really just kind of sat back, helped them plan it, but just starting with that tone of this is authentic student leadership from the ground up, and really focusing on opportunities to be in compassionate communities. So the intention of Student Life Council is to foster compassionate community and represent the voices of each class. So we are just really looking forward to those little moments of community building. We've talked about, all right, first snow, let's build snowmen, let's prepare for sledding, let's, have hot cocoa ready to go. Kind of those little moments, or, hey, this student is a musician. Can we create an opportunity for them to perform live at some point? Those little, and these are just brainstorms, but just opportunities to have students who have raised their hand and said, I love our school, I love our community, and I want to provide opportunities for us to be together on purpose. Mm-hmm. And hopefully in big ways, but also in small ways, just to foster those moments of connection. So I'm excited for the new focus around that initiative and some of the new energy behind it. Mm-hmm. There are students who are coming from student government and hopped on board, and a few students who this appealed to that are new to a leadership role. So I think all of that together, I'm really excited to see how it positively impacts our community.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see that play out. And there certainly is an energy behind this shift. I mean, to paint a picture for you, we probably had our most dynamic election cycle that we've ever had for this. I mean, we had potential representatives coming in to walk-in music, dressed to the nines with, pretend Secret Service agents around them. I mean, everyone, there's an excitement and a buzz about this. I'm excited to see how that'll play out next year.
Yep. It is exciting times. Looking to next year, I think there's all the day-to-day stuff that fills my job that I take joy in, and I'm excited to just continue to kind of have a sideline seat to our students' life here during the day, probably on a larger scale or a medium scale, I guess. But our prayer club, I think we formed a super strong foundation this year, and the people that have been involved this year are very excited for it to continue next year and have hopes and dreams of it spreading further and more students being involved. And it's something I'm passionate about, and it's been fun to deepen their walk with prayer. And so I look forward to that growing next year and for many years to come. I think we'll look back on this school year with some pivotal shifts in how we do things in our culture around prayer here at PCA.
Amen to that. It's such a special group, and we're excited to see it grow next year. And it certainly had an impact on our community next year. And I trust and I'm confident that God will work through it in this coming year.
Yeah. I am so excited about next year. And the biggest thing I'm excited about is to very intentionally work with students at their age, at their grade level, to help them figure out who they are, who God created them to be, and how they can take that and use that in their life, whether that filters them into a career field that brings them passion, whether that teaches them that they have a huge heart for missions and they want to explore that, or whether they just get to know themselves in general and decide to do something different. I'm so excited to help each and every one of your children get to know who God created them to be. And everyone is so unique. And so I'm very excited for that. So we have a lot of ideas. We're kind of still in the brainstorming phase of what that will look like. But I know that the college planning team, we're all working really hard to be very intentional with how we do that. And so I'm very, very excited about that.
Yeah.
Which also gives me the opportunity to know all the students a little bit more. I get to know them more on a personal level rather than I think that's Mrs. Young. Is that Mrs. Young? Yes, that's me. Or they'll call me Mrs. Sporko.
Oh,
yeah, it's not me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, and that is your department plays such an important role in each child's growth and development. I remember a number of years ago talking to Dr. Lawrence, and this was in my capacity as a middle school teacher, and she stressed the importance of us as educators, or those of us in an educational setting, serving as mirrors of for our students. So seeing the God-given gifts, abilities, and talents or interests that they have, and speaking into that and pointing them to what that might lead them to do in the future. So the opportunity that you and your colleagues have to say, oh, I see that you have a great analytical mind, that you're a strong critical thinker, or you have a strong sense of justice. Maybe you should look at the law field or the law profession and, things along those lines. Like there's a lot of great opportunities there. And I think that's a key part of what we have the opportunity to do is to highlight the God-given abilities of our students. So I'm excited for you in that opportunity, and we'll certainly be praying for you and then everyone else here and the rest of our team. But moms and dads, community members, I hope you're greatly encouraged in hearing from this group who, though, works peripherally on the academic side, still has a significant impact on the growth and development of your students. And I'm excited to be back serving with them next year and to see how God will work through them to impact the lives of your children and our students. So I hope you're encouraged. Hope you all have a great summer, and we can't wait to see you all back next year.
Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you.